Alright, all you 7 days of madness / chaos, controversial game-loving gamers out there, welcome back to the Indy Radio Arcade. And according to the maestro, it seems like they did make a game out of the movie Crank, but it was one of those tiny little 8-bit games that really didn't get as much attention as it deserved. Maybe I'll play it soon one day and try to review it on the show. Soon. When? I know not. But speaking of reviewing games, folks, I think it's time for us to go into a very controversial edition of the Instant Classic Video Game Review. And the game we have up on the plate for this week, folks, is probably one of the most controversial games that we've ever got a chance to mention during this very show, which is none other than Postal 2. Now, before we get into this review, folks, we might as well explain to you fans out there why in the world this game is so controversial. Now, the reason why this game is so controversial is because it's been banned in several different countries, about 6. Not only in New Zealand, Australia, Malaysia, France, Germany, and Sweden, temporarily in Sweden, but yes, the reason why it's been banned there is because, let's just say, there's certain things you can do in this game that is frowned upon in other countries, and I'm surprised they weren't frowned upon in this country as well, including public urination on other people. I'm not kidding, that was one of the things you could do in this game. And oh, thank you for reminding me, Maestro, a little bit of a warning for you New Zealand fans out there who happen to try to play this game regardless of the rules that are out there. They say that a fine of well over 2,000 New Zealand dollars will be distributed to you if you caught playing this game, and you can be in prison if you're caught with a copy, or anybody who supplies, distributes, or exhibits, or even displays or advertise Postal 2 can be in prison for up to a year or fined upwards of well over 20,000 New Zealand dollars or 14,000 American, or even fined upwards of well over 50,000 New Zealand dollars or 38,000 in US money. So yeah, don't do it, New Zealand. Don't do it. Just don't do it. And with that little bit of a warning out of the way, this game, the meat and potatoes of it all, is that you play a character that goes by the name of the Postal Dude, who goes throughout his life trying to complete day-to-day tasks in 7 days while the world goes crazier and crazier to the point that it hits Armageddon. And yes, I said crazy like Bernie Mac did back in the Bernie Mac show, because that's a perfect description of the chaos level of this game. And in my honest opinion, next to Condemned 2, this has to be one of the goriest games we played in our lives. And, you know, it ranks up there just around the gore mode ability that you can have in Grand Theft Auto 3, so yeah, that's pretty high up there on the list. And with that said, folks, what did I love about this game? Well, the controversial thing that I have to say that I did love about this game is the amount of chaos that you can cause at a moment's notice in this game. Because, as an example, one thing you could do when somebody doesn't sign a petition, you can take out a pair of scissors and just chop their hand off. And that leads to a whole flurry of events of crazy things that could happen in this game that you will never believe until you play it. And also, another thing that I loved about this game is all the different weapons you get a chance to use during it. From not only a gasoline can, a cow head, pistols, shotguns, automatic scissors, scythes that you can actually throw like a boomerang, a cat which can actually turn into a cat-nado by the time you hit day 6, and I do believe also a rocket launcher as a weapon along with dynamite that you can use in this game as well. Yeah, there is a plethora of weapons you can use in this game to cause a multitude of chaos in it. Another thing that I loved about this game is the fact that they managed to get Gary Coleman to be a part of this game. I kid you not, folks, Gary Coleman was in this game, but unfortunately when they did the DLC for this game, he had to get his voice redubbed for it due to the fact that he would pass away prior to this game's DLC release. Which is still sad, but still, Gary Coleman was featured in this game. And the last thing that I loved about this game, besides a couple of the background songs, had to have been the constant updates on Steam and the workshop and the mods that are still fresh to this day for this game despite it coming out in 2003, which tells you a lot about the support of the fans that this game has. And with everything that I liked about this game, what didn't I like about this game? Well, the only thing I could say that I didn't like about this game had to have been for the DLC when you finally got a chance to dual-wield weapons, because that was my original complaint for this game, that you couldn't dual-wield certain weapons in this game, and they would add it in for the DLC, but unfortunately the DLC, in a multitude of occasions, and I'm not sure if it's just for me or for other people, but the DLC would crash. I don't know why, but it just wouldn't work. Now, unless somebody else says that, that's just my computer, I'm just gonna have to add that into the list of complaints for this said game. And the other complaint that I had for it, I guess has to be the final boss. That's the only real complaint I had for this game because of how difficult that final boss is. Or was, because I was finally able to beat it a couple of months ago, but I digress. And with everything that I liked and didn't like about this game, what do I think they need to do to improve upon this game? Well, besides fixing a couple of the bugs here and there that does take place during it, maybe, just maybe for the regular version of the game, the ability for you to actually dual-wield weapons a part of it. The only thing I really ask for this game in the near future, because, yeah, with a game like this, not really much you can ask for with all the mayhem and chaos that they include in it. And seeing the fact that we don't know how to review games along the lines of gold, stars, coins, letters, or bricks, we review games in only two ways. Will we do a video game story on this game in the near future? And do we recommend this absolutely crazy game for you, the fans at home, with the exception of the people that are on the banned list that can't play it currently in their countries? Now, to answer the question of will there be a video game story in the near future for this game, I would have to say maybe. This is the first time I will say the word maybe to a video game for a video game story, because let's just say when I tried to actually go to the bank, a lot of really bad things happened involving some hedge clippers and a scythe that may be too controversial for a video game story, but I got a feeling for the month of madness, or even during this month of random wonderment, we may do a video game story for this game in the near future. Or even for the month of extreme. Either way, let's just say, controversial answer is gonna be yes, and maybe is just gonna be when we find a place to put this insane game for a video game story. And do we recommend this game, with the exception of the countries that they're banned in, for you to play this game at home? Well, if you want to play a game that involves you trying to go through an everyday life only to get into some of the craziest things I've ever seen in a video game in all my life, including moments where you're sailing around a cat and even a chance for you to get stampeded by elephants and other things that I can't possibly describe without an NC-17 rating over my head, then I recommend you go out there and cop that disc. And trust me, folks, when it says it's rated M for mature, it is really rated M for mature. So, yeah, be careful when you play this, depending on your country. And with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to the music, and when we return, we'll be back with another edition of the Indy Wall of Fame right after this. So don't run out of continues just yet, folks, and stay tuned.